My name is Marcos Lutyens. I'm an artist. I am very interested in consciousness, and my work manifests in different media, sometimes film, sometimes installations, sometimes performance art, sometimes drawings and paintings and sculpture. I first became interested in oil rigs about 5 years ago when I became concerned about the sea level rise that's happening around the world, and especially in the Southwest Pacific. And I thought of this kind of speculative project of bringing an oil rig to the islands so that once the islands go underwater, unfortunately, they would still have a way of kind of claiming their nationhood through this oil rig. There's this fulcrum event between the fossil economy and hopefully now or sometime soon towards the kind of more ecological way of looking and dealing with life. So I see these big offshore oil rigs as symbols of a kind of change that needs to happen. If we could grab those oil rigs and not just stop them from producing oil or getting rid of them, but actually turning them into something positive. I'm collaborating with Dr. Milton Love and Dr. Ann Bull, and they both are marine biologists based at Santa Barbara University at the Marine Lab there. And they've been working together for a very long time. And their research is centered around the fauna and flora at the base of these jackets and around the oil rigs. Off the shore of Southern California, there are 27 oil rigs right now, and of which 8 are no longer functioning. There's a lot of kind of contention as to, whose responsibility it is to get rid of them, or whether, which isn't really being considered much until I come along, is this a possibility of maybe keeping the top part as a kind of historical artifact and also a place that could be used for research and for cultural repository, let's say. So any possibility of finding an ecological, creative reason to keep the oil rigs would benefit everybody, I think.
My name is Ann Scarborough. I'm a marine biologist at the University of California, Santa Barbara Marine Science Institute. I am partners with Milton Love, and we call it the Love Lab. We do marine science with a focus on fish ecology and marine ecology at artificial reefs and offshore oil and gas platforms.
I'm Milton Love. I'm a research biologist. We've been conducting research on the role that oil platforms play as fish and invertebrate habitat. And the goal was just to figure out, well, are these important habitats? The bottom line is that these platforms are just very large reefs. As far as marine life is concerned, the fact that they're made out of steel means essentially nothing to these organisms. What they're after is hard stuff and stuff where they can hide and survive. All oil platforms anywhere in the world at some point become uneconomical to operate. And that's because the price of oil isn't high enough, or the price of labor is too high, or there's not enough product left under the sea floor. And then the decision has to be made, well, what are we going to do with these things? And that process is called decommissioning.
You've got the deep ecologists who want to get rid of completely everything. And then you've also got the Native American population, mostly Chumash and Tongva, who consider the oil rigs to be kind of like a stab in the stomach of Mother Nature, who generally also would like to get rid of everything. Then you've got the marine biologists, such as Dr. Milton Love and Dr. Ann Bull, who see this incredible resource of keeping the kind of ecology going. They've studied the fact that the oil rigs help populate the shore environment. You've got the oil companies that would like to just just keep it and get rid of their interest in it. And then obviously there's the State Lands Commission that has answerability to the state. And then there's also the federal government and the Biden administration who are trying to figure out what the best approach is. And then there are poets and artists like us who are saying, well, you've got this incredible structure. Why don't we do something creative with it? Why don't we look at it as a beacon of change? Accept and acknowledge the fact that fossil fuels have allowed us to get to where we are, but also that we just can't go on using fossil fuels.
It has to do with people's personal philosophies. So at the extremes, you have people who say, well, we don't like artificial stuff in the ocean. So when a platform comes up for decommissioning, we want that platform completely removed. The other extreme is, well, biologically, these structures are fully functioning reefs. Aren't we out here to protect sea life? Isn't that important? So why are we blowing up a platform? And that's usually the way a platform is removed. You lower explosive charges down the legs, down below the seafloor, and you blow it up. And in doing so, you kill all of the marine life. And that's what makes decommissioning so interesting, because it is the intersection of people's, in some cases, deeply held views with science.
It was a very open discussion in the middle 1980s about, well, what if we don't remove them? What if we leave some to continue as fishing spots or reefs? And so rigs to reefs was a concept that was born out of that understanding and grew up to be probably somewhere between 600 and 700 platforms.
It's a matter of urgency. This isn't an aesthetic exercise as an artist, which I suppose comes back to my practice, which revolves around activism, basically, and about changing the way we approach things around us. And ultimately, the quickest way to do that is through changes in consciousness. I'm very interested in the kind of the transformative aspect of this research and how people could kind of change their consciousness. I also kind of relate the different levels of the ocean to different levels of consciousness. So you could be like up at the surface of the oil rig platform, and that would relate to or correspond to regular, normal state of awakening consciousness. And then the further down you go, the deeper into a state of unconscious you go, which to me is where the transformation needs to happen. Because we've done all the arguing at this level, at the conscious level, at the awake level, but I think the real change needs to happen further down. I think that when you try to explain something in a linear way, you're losing a lot. Whereas if you can explain something through, in a way, geometric thinking and emotion, bringing emotion in, then you can find different perspectives on a conversation, other than looking at the bottom line. What we need to do is bring in different processes. So anytime that we can visualize this through shape and texture, form and geometry and color and emotion, then we're kind of bringing something new to the table. So far, the most important part of my work has been listening and understanding the issues better. In order for the work to be consequential, as artists, we need to listen before kind of bringing our own creativity into it.
I don't think there should be a demarcation between art and science. And if you think about it, art is a way of a person conveying a truth to an audience. And that's what we do, what we try to do. Scientists try to produce the truth. And so our roles are similar in that sense to an artist. We do our best to understand the truth of whatever we're studying. But unfortunately, there, I think, is this artificial dichotomy that has been created, at least in Western civilization, between, quote, artists and, quote, scientists.
In discussions with Marcos, we talk about what we know and how we know it and what we found. And Marcos just takes it and he can expand on these ideas and see how they might apply, first of all, to more people, which is fabulous, and in a more colorful way.